We'll continue our discussion about Ryan Nelson in about, 12 minutes from now, whether or not he has secured himself a rotation spot. Welcome back in. Lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. We got producer Evan behind the glass. And the meticulous Phoenix Suns coaching search continues. And it feels like we're getting close to this being narrowed down to just a couple of finalists. Round 2 of the Suns head coaching search. I mean, listen, it takes a while.
The alignment.
You don't just align immediately. It takes a little bit. There's some work that goes into that. And the Phoenix Suns, to their credit, have been putting in the work. Crossing T's, dotting I's, casting a wide net, which is exactly what we wanted to see from this head coaching search. Take your time. Get this right. You haven't gotten it right in the past. Maybe because you haven't taken the time to do this the right way. And this is a very important first step for Brian Gregory, because whatever you make of Brian Gregory and him being the new general manager of the Phoenix Suns, he has to work in tandem with whoever they get to be this next head coach to build out this roster. And it's going to be a heavy lift. This is not an easy retool. This is not an easy process. And so you want some synergy. Perhaps trying to think of a word that can describe what you want between your head coach and your general manager. What's another word for synergy, producer Evan? I want the head coach and the GM. They need to be on the same page. They need to be rolling.
Gosh.
It's on the tip of my... if there's only a word...
I feel like we've heard this one before, have we?
I don't know. Is there a word that you're thinking of?
Yes. And give me a second here, and I think 3, 2, 1.
The alignment.
The alignment. Yes, alignment. That's the word. Yes, alignment. You need alignment between your head coach and your GM. All kidding aside, you need those guys working on the same page, speaking the same language. Gregory knows what the coach wants. The coach knows what Gregory is looking for, and they can impart this new culture onto the rest of the team and whoever is a part of this team. So I got no issue with them taking their time. I've got no issue with 9 guys making it to the second round. I have no issue with them interviewing as many people as they have. I know some people think when you put a bunch of names on a list, it can become almost cartoonish. I don't think so, not with this coaching search in particular. So we're down to 9 names. We've talked about our favorites among those 9, and it feels like some favorites are beginning to emerge. Mark Stein, NBA insider, wrote this yesterday, quote, "The Suns are expected to narrow their list of coaching candidates to 3 or so finalists as this week unfolds. There have been rumblings in coaching circles that both Miami's Chris Quinn and Dallas's Sean Sweeney have made strong impressions in the interview process to date among the numerous assistant coaches that the Suns have spoken to since the process commenced." So Sweeney and Quinn making a strong impression. The third name that has made a strong impression is Jordan Ott from Cleveland. Now, the worry there is that's the one guy that has the Michigan State connection of this group. But Chris Quinn, the top of my list. Number 1 on my list of the 9 candidates of who I would want to be the next Suns head coach. I am betting on pulling somebody off of the Miami Heat coaching tree. I believe strongly in pulling somebody off of that Heat culture. Not because we need Heat culture here in Phoenix, but I need somebody who has been around stability, who has been around
The alignment.
Spoelstra and Riley working together to build a roster in the hopes of winning a championship. And Chris Quinn has had a front row seat to both of those guys. We would all agree Eric Spoelstra, one of the best head coaches in the NBA right now, right?
Probably the best.
We would all agree Pat Riley, from an executive perspective, considered one of the people you would want to pick his brain on how to build an NBA team, right?
Certainly.
Chris Quinn, front row seat to both of those gentlemen. That's the type of guy I want for the Phoenix Suns. So he is still my personal favorite among the 9 that are left. So it's great for me that he is one of these potential finalists. Now, Sean Sweeney, on the other hand, I am still incredibly skeptical. I am skeptical because Sweeney has seemingly only followed Jason Kidd around in his coaching career in Milwaukee, in Brooklyn, now in Dallas. And I don't feel that same feeling about grabbing somebody who's worked with Jason Kidd as I do grabbing somebody who's worked with Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley. I don't think we view the Dallas front office in a very fine light right now. Ask the fans in Dallas how they feel about Nico Harrison and their front office. So between the two, we don't know how either of these guys are going to be as a head coach. So the only thing I have to go off of is their experience. The only thing that I have to go off of is their reputation. The only thing that we can go off of is where they come from. What does their resume say? And I'm sorry, a resume of somebody who has been trusted by Eric Spoelstra, has been promoted by Eric Spoelstra, has been the right-hand man to Eric Spoelstra for a really long time. Yeah, that guy jumps off the page for me. That guy is head and shoulders above the rest. Now, we said last week, hey, you may love Chris Quinn. He may be at the top of your list, but go through the process. Allow somebody to potentially win you over. Be open to any of these 9 candidates landing that great impression. But it feels like Chris Quinn just continues over and over and over again. His reputation speaks for itself. His references speak for himself. I've got 2 candidates that I'm trying to promote to a position that they've never held before. Neither one of these guys has been an NBA head coach. And so I've got 2 resumes that are very similar. Assistant coaches at a super high level, have been around teams that have made playoff runs. So what's the tiebreaker? The tiebreaker might be the references on the resume. And the references for Chris Quinn are a lot better than the references for Sean Sweeney. The references for Chris Quinn are a lot stronger than anybody else's references on the list of 9. There's nobody else who can put down, talk to Pat Riley about who I am as a coach. Talk to Eric Spoelstra as to who I am as a coach. Nobody has that resume. And you want to say I'm leaning too much into the Heat credentials? That's fine. But you know what? That is a stable, winning organization that has won championships, that has stayed relevant, has gone through rebuilds and retools and changing the construction of their roster and has still remained a threat in the Eastern Conference. So I'm buying into that. I'm buying into Chris Quinn having a front row seat to all of that. And then when he gets his chance to be a head coach, put his own little spin on it. So hopefully by the end of this week, we're down to the last couple of names here. We still got Micah Nori and Dave Bliss, who are still coaching in the postseason, but it appears as though the second round of interviews are all done. So now it's just whittling it down to the final 3 or 4 who are going to move on to the next stage, the next round of interviews. What type of questions do you think you can ask in the third round of interviews that you didn't ask in the first 2? What's left to talk about? You probably covered it in the first 2, no?
I don't know if it's as much about questions as it is about I don't know.
Getting that one-on-one FaceTime. You're
Yeah.
probably doing these virtually right now, so you get that one-on-one
Bring
FaceTime.
them in the building.
Or you bring them in the building, you take them out to dinner, you see how they react.
You might have them interact with players.
Yeah, maybe. Or you do maybe a little bit more when you're able to meet with them in person, and you don't want to do that for all 9 candidates. You probably want to have a select group that you do that with. Perhaps you can do what the Washington Commanders did a couple of years ago with all of the guys that they were bringing in for top 30 visits. They brought them all to Topgolf to see how they interacted with one another. And then that's how they decided on who to take in the draft. You're looking at me like you don't remember this story.
I remember it. I just don't know if that's the team I'd be following.
They went to the playoffs last year. They're doing pretty well.
First time in 25
I know,
years?
new owner though, new quarterback. They did it again this year too. I think it was with all the quarterbacks they did that with. All of their quarterbacks that they brought in for a visit, they took them all to Topgolf to see how the competition was, how they interacted with one another, and it was in that scenario.
Here's
where
my
Daniels
thought.
Stuck out.
And I get that, I do.
No, it was a terrible idea.
But my only thought process is if every report and every article says Jaden Daniels is the second best quarterback in the draft, and then they pick him at second, Guess what? They don't deserve any credit because any Joe Schmo would have picked them second overall.
I was just trying to make a joke that they took all their draft picks out to Topgolf, and you veered us off so that you can, criticize them for taking Jaden Daniels.
No, it's not.
I don't understand.
First of all, it's not criticizing them. I just think that I'm tired of people getting credit for taking quarterbacks at 2 when the whole world knew they were going 2.
Yeah, it was a foregone conclusion that if Caleb went 1,
if Mariota was great at 2, it'd have been okay.
Yes.
They don't deserve credit.
No, they don't deserve credit. But their unique way of interviewing all of these quarterbacks
is still a bad idea in my head.
Still a bad idea.